Fear isn't just an emotion, it is a survival mechanism. A biological alarm system older than language, older than civilization, and older than the human species itself. When a twig snapped in the dark, our ancestors didn't ask questions. They ran, they hid, and they survived. But today, we choose fear. We dim the lights, put on our headphones, press new game, and willingly enter worlds built to terrify us. Words like Silent Hill, Outlast, Resident Evil, and the infamous PT demo. But why? Why can a digital hallway feel more threatening than the real world? Why can footsteps in a video game make your heart pound harder than footsteps behind you in real life? Today, we're going beyond the jump scare. We're breaking down the psychology, the neuroscience, and the art of game design that turns horror games into machines of fear. Because horror games don't just show us fear, they engineer it. Now, first, to understand horror games, we need to understand fear itself. So, fear, to put it simply, is triggered when your brain perceives a threat even before you consciously recognize what you're seeing. Now, according to Anderson 2020 study on recreational horror, fear involves significant psychological arousal, including increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened sensory processing. This is what is called the fight or flight response. Your body floods with adrenaline that increases your alertness, your cortisol, which is your stress hormone, noradrenaline, which is to boost your focus, and glucose, which provides energy for survival. Your pupils dilate, your hearing sharpens, your body becomes a perfectly tuned survival machine. And horror games exploit this exact system. Now, a controlled experiment on horror games, players recorded that gameplay fear produced significant changes in EEG waves and autonomic nervous system responses. Now, this means that your brain waves literally changes, your body behaves as if the danger is real. Now, even though you consciously know it isn't, that is the power of horror games. That is the power of interactive fear. Movies scare you externally, games scare you internally. Because in game, you're not just watching the protagonist, you are the protagonist. Fear in games is not accidental, it is crafted meticulously using psychological triggers. Now, let's break down the major tools. First is unpredictability. Now, humans are prediction machines. We feel safe when we know what comes next. Now, horror games break this. Dudek writes that uncertainty forces the player's imagination to fill gaps with self-generated threats. This is why PT Demo by Hideo Kojima is terrifying. The hallway is familiar but never identical. Things happen without warning or don't happen when you expect them. Your brain can create a pattern, so it creates fear. The game isn't scary because of what happens, it's scary because of what might happen. Your imagination becomes the monster. The second one is pacing. So, horror games is the most rhythmic genre in gaming. Anderson put it clearly that the greatest scare occur not in the scare itself, but in the build-up. Games like Resident Evil master this. Long quiet hallways, eerie calm, slow door animations, ambient sounds with no source. Because of this, your brain begins to anticipate danger, your body prepares, the tension rises, and then a window shatters. The release hits twice as hard because the build-up primes your nervous systems. Now this is fear mathematics, an emotional equation, a heart rate curve crafted by designers. Now the third one is sound design. So, sound is the most powerful tool in horror, stronger than graphics, stronger than monsters. Research on VR fear responses found that ambient audio and environmental sounds cues amplify fear responses more than visual stimuli. Now think of the radio static in Silent Hill, the distorted breathing in Outlast, the hallway moans in PT, the sudden sting of music in Resident Evil. Sound bypasses rational thought, it speaks directly to instinct. A footstep behind you in a hallway, in or out of the game, triggers the same psychological alarm. The fourth one is visual restriction. Now, darkness is not scary because it hides monsters. Darkness is scary because it hides information. Now, Dudek analysis states that visual restriction increases threat perception as players must rely on incomplete information. Night vision in Outlast, fog in Silent Hill, camera distortion in PT, flashlight mechanics in Amnesia. These don't just make it hard to see, that makes it hard to understand, and your brain hates it that. Fear grows in the absence of clarity. Now, let's explore the games that perfected fear not through cheap tricks but through psychological engineering. The first one is the most popular one. It is Silent Hill. Now, Silent Hill doesn't frighten you with monsters. Sure, there are monsters in it, but it more frightens you with interpretation. Fog obscures everything, radio static warns without telling, environments feels familiar yet corrupted. Now, Dudek said it best, ambiguity produces a sustained state of dread. Your brain searches for answers that don't exist. Every shadow becomes a threat, every silence becomes a scream. This is slow, suffocating fear, existential but not physical. The second game is Outlast. Now, Outlast strips away your defenses. No weapons, no combat, you just run and hide. Now, Lynn explains that real-time coping with perceived danger heightens emotional arousal. This game leverages vulnerability, a primal fear older than humanity. Every chase is a sprint for survival instinct, and every locker is a fragile sanctuary. The third game is Resident Evil. Resident Evil horror comes from rhythm, from quiet to suspense, suspense to fear. Fear turns into combat, and then combat becomes relief, and then relief turns into a quiet state again. It is a heartbeat. Anderson writes that anticipatory fear is more potent than the threat itself. This is Resident Evil formula. Your fear is what's around the corner, not just what's in front of you. Now, the next game is PT. Now, PT is a demo. PT is pure psychological torture. The hallway is aloof, but tiny details shift. Events are random, audio lies, shadow misled, and the game's villain, Lisa, appears only when you least expect it. The game never announces the rules. It just lets your mind destroy itself. Now, why do we enjoy this? Why do we seek out fear? Where Anderson explains it that fear is enjoyable when experienced in a safe context and a manageable intensity. This is what is called the paradox of horror. We fear losing control, but we enjoy giving it up, as long as the danger isn't real. Fear becomes adrenaline. It becomes excitement. It turns into a stress relief for us, an emotional catharsis. It can also be a shared social experience where we can say to our friends, "Bro, I can sleep after playing Outlast." Now, horror games let us experience danger without consequences. They let us flirt with death while holding a controller. So, what does horror games teach us? Well, it shows us that how our brains react to threats, how psychology can be shaped, how sensory information affects emotion, how fear sharpens perception, how the unknown is more terrifying than the known. They are interactive psychological experiments disguised as entertainments, and they reveal something profound about humanity. We are afraid of monsters, but we are terrified of what we cannot understand. Now, fear is ancient, but horror games reinvented, turning pixels into predators, sound into shadows, and silence into a threat. The next time you step into a dark hallway in a game and you hear something move behind you, remember, your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the science of fear, then join me next time as we explore the hidden psychology inside our favorite video games. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and whatever you do, don't look behind you.